It's time to take a look at what's grabbing headlines here in France. And for this, I'm joined by Clément Bonnereau. Hi, Clément.
I will.
We're looking at Emmanuel Macron's decision to nationalize the biggest shipyard in Western France.
That's right. This story is on the front page of several newspapers, including Aujourd'hui en France. Macron nationalizes the Saint-Nazaire shipyard. The newspaper reminds us that this nationalization is temporary and comes after a long standoff between the French government and Italy's state-owned company Fincantieri. Under a previous agreement, the company was to take 65% of STX France, the former Korean owner of this shipyard. But soon after taking office, Macron threatened to nationalise the company unless the Italians agree to a 50-50 ownership split.
And Macron says the aim is to protect France's strategic interests. How's the press reacting to that?
Well, reactions in the French press today are mixed. Catholic daily La Croix hails Macron's decision as a bold move that makes sense both politically and economically. The newspaper argues that this temporary nationalisation, which is expected to come at a cost of 80 million euros, will help protect jobs in France and strengthen France's shipbuilding industry. Business daily Les Echos, however, disagrees, saying that the move sends a bad signal to the business community. France has experimented with nationalizations in the past under French President François Mitterrand in the 1980s, but Les Echos writes, we live in a different world. This nationalization could do more harm than good, in particular undermine European cooperation at a time when France needs a strong Europe as its companies face increased competition from China, India and Turkey.
Pro-business press saying it's bad news. Communist paper L'Humanité say it doesn't go far enough.
That's right. L'Humanité says that this nationalisation would only provide temporary relief for workers at the site. They say Macron's decision is a step in the right direction, but it should not be seen as a comprehensive long-term industrial strategy. A 50-50 ownership split between France's government and Italy's Fincantieri would mean that the Italian company still has a lot of influence over the future of the Saint-Nazaire shipyard. L'Humanité is worried about possible job cuts at the site, which currently employs more than 7,000 people.
Worried about job cuts, but also a lot of press talking about the impact on Franco-Italian relations.
That's right. Le Figaro says that Macron's decision could harm relations between Paris and Rome. Italians are unsurprisingly very critical, saying that France is once again showing an old face, the usual France with its protectionist, sovereignist and dirigiste instincts.
And this move being seen as a surprise as Emmanuel Macron was elected on his platform of being pro-European and pro-business.
That's right, and I've got this cartoon for you here in Le Parisien, which perfectly illustrates this idea that Macron is perhaps somewhat unpredictable. The man says here, so to sum it up, the Unbowed France movement, that's the party led by the far-left leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon, supports Général de Villiers, France's top general, who resigned over cuts to the military last week. And the right says that nationalizations are a good thing. And the woman replies, well, Macron, he's really shaking things up.
Macron might be shaking things up on this next issue as well. The French president proposing to build migrant reception centers in so-called hotspots in Libya to help process asylum seekers.
That's right. It's on the front page of today's Le Figaro. Macron is ready to act on Libyan soil. The Conservative paper hails this proposal as a pragmatic measure, one that tackles the root cause of uncontrolled migration to Europe. Le Figaro says that many migrants do not qualify as asylum seekers. Many are actually economic migrants, and these migrants should therefore be processed before they arrive in Europe, Le Figaro writes, going on to quote the former Prime Minister, French Prime Minister Michel Rocard, France's role is not to welcome all the world's misery.
And not all papers seem to think that the setting up hotspots in Libya is a good idea.
Indeed, left-wing daily Libération says the measure is, quote, a mirage, or in other words, totally unrealistic. Libya, the paper writes, remains crippled by instability and violence, this despite a recent agreement between the country's two opposing governments. Migrants in Libya also face tough living conditions on the ground. Many are routinely abused by smugglers, killed and tortured.
All right. Thank you, Clément. Clément Bonnereau with a roundup of what's making headlines here in France. That's the news.